Hi, this is Darren from Primal Gym, bringing you part 3 of our shoulder series, how to fix up your shoulders, how to prevent shoulder injuries. Hopefully you can understand me, I'm full of cold at the minute, but yeah, hopefully that won't spoil the video. So, last week we discussed the first 3 points, mostly to do with core function and posture. Today we're going to talk about a little bit more about the shoulders themselves. So, the next tip on preventing shoulder injuries is whenever we're doing arm raises or any kind of shoulder elevation or external rotation, we always want to supinate, which means like a bowl of soup, turning the palms upwards. We want to supinate as we get to shoulder level. So for example, if we were doing lateral raises, dumbbell lateral raises, we would want to lift, and then rather than sort of stopping here or turning slightly inwards on the shoulders, we would want to lift and turn those palms upwards as we reach the top level. Okay, so if we were using dumbbells, we come up and we turn out. Exactly the same for external rotation. We just basically, there's a natural supination in there. Anytime the arms elevate above shoulder level, we want to turn those palms upwards. It's much kinder on the shoulder joint, and it stops that grinding that's going on if you've got impingement problems. Okay, so that's that part. Okay, next one, tip 6. This is a bit of a tricky one, a bit technical, but I'll do my best to explain it. Whenever we're doing rows or pulls, we want to make sure that we are not engaging the shoulder blades, the scapulars, at a different time from pulling the elbows back. So often you hear it said that when you do a row or a pull down, you should either engage your shoulder blades first and then pull, or you should start pulling and then engage your shoulder blades. Both of those are wrong, especially if you've got poor shoulder function or if you've got issues with your shoulders. If you squeeze your scapulars together before you start pulling the elbows back, you're going to start causing problems, grinding around your acromioclavicular joint and the sternoclavicular joint. Also, if we don't engage and pull the elbows back at the same time, doing those two things together, we also start to disrupt the movement, the rhythm between the shoulder blades and the thoracic spine and the glenohumeral rhythm, which is basically how that shoulder joint moves around, how the head of the arm moves around in that joint. Neither of those two things are optimum. We want to be moving the elbows and the shoulder blades, squeezing those together in time so they're synchronized. If we're doing pull downs, we want the elbows being pulled down as the shoulder blades are squeezing together. Those two things, the elbow movement, retraction, and the shoulder blade retraction, those two things should be happening together in a synchronized fashion, not as separate entities. So that's number 6. So then finally for today, point 7, something called irritation. You may not be familiar with that. Basically, it's a technical way of explaining that when you grip tightly onto something, the stabilization effect in the joints above that grip are optimized. So for example, if we were doing a deadlift, we want to hold the bar as tightly as we can. If we've got shoulder injuries, this is particularly important. Gripping the bar as tightly as we can, and that helps to stabilize the shoulder joint above that grip. Now, if we consider that, it's obvious now that one thing we don't want to be doing when we're doing heavy lifting is wearing straps. Now, I'm not saying if you want to do a one-off heavy lift or a one-rep personal best that straps aren't going to be important, but if you're just lifting during your training and you've got shoulder injuries or you want to prevent shoulder injuries, not using straps is ideal, because if you use straps, you essentially just cause a weak link. So now we're not having to really grip tightly. The strap's doing most of the work, which means that the stabilization in the shoulder joint isn't optimized, which means again, we're going to start getting a laxity in that shoulder joint. And if you remember back to part 1, we discussed the fact that laxity in that shoulder joint, with the head of the arm just rolling around in there, is a big part of the problem. So don't wear straps when you're lifting if you want to optimize shoulder health. Okay, that's it for today. That's part 3. Part 4, we'll go through the last few bits and yeah, bring this all together. Okay, see you next time.